Hey guys, welcome to a new video walkthrough of a nice little program done in C this time. This program, suggestively named Runtime Table of Repeated Words, starts from a simple program which many of you probably know and done for yourself, a program which will keep account for how many repeated words or certain characters were read from various input sources. My variation on this is that my program will read from a file, of course first checked if valid, if it contains any characters from which we can form a word, so it will read character by character, save them into a dynamically allocated array, resized at runtime if needed, which will represent a word, read, and then all identical words will be stored into a linked list along with their repetitions count. That linked list, again stored on heap, will be used to construct a table at runtime which will present in as nice as it could be form the repeated words along with their repetitions count, a table for which the user can directly control the maximum width, all for a nicer view. The program is pretty complex, I'd say. A friend of mine asked me why I invested so much time in it. Well, even if it doesn't do much, what it does precise, and to do all this at runtime presented some interesting logical problems, so guess I took it as a challenge, and in the end I am very pleased with the result. A little more advanced concepts used in this program are various file operations, of course the use of a linked list allocated in heap, dynamically allocated and reallocated character arrays in the heap memory, use of a recursive function, pseudo-random number generator, and other small functions based on time. So enough with the small talk, let's see it in action. I have prepared a file with the lyrics of one of the world's biggest hit song, Jingle Bells. Let's see what words does it contains and how many of each. Okay, so we have a nice little description of what the program does, if we didn't knew that already. And now we must enter the name of the input file. Okay, let's quickly enter jb.text. Now there's going to be a function which will count and store the number of repetitions for each word. Seems that was done. Now we have to enter how wide would our table be. The maximum width, let's say to be 50, so we'll have more instances of our table drawn. Okay, a little tension created here, so we have our tables. Okay, let's see. What should be noted here is that the words in the table are printed in the same order that they appear in the text. Yeah, so we have dashing through the snow, etc. Could have sorted the words based on the number of repetitions, but that would make the words in the tables appear to be scrambled with no logic whatsoever. So I think this is the best solution. Also, what must be noted is that this is currently the best solution I could come up with regarding of how to print a table in console. It's pretty hard, but I think this is really the best way. Another thing that should be noted is, well, here we have for example the max repetitions count for bells for this block of words which must occupy the maximum width entered by the user, which should be 50. So we have here bells, which is a word repeated 5 times. Then we have a word what and fun, which are repeated 3 times, and then we have and, which is repeated 7 times. You see that here we have 5, 3, 7. There's not a problem whatsoever into constructing this table because, as I said, all of the tables are constructed at runtime, so this works just great. I must say, I'm really pleased of the end result. Why? Because it's a pretty complex program, as you'll see in a moment. Okay, so as I've said, at the heart of my program there's gonna be a linked list allocated in heap, which I'm gonna use sort of like a map from C++, in which the k will be the word read from the input file and the value will be the number of repetitions of that word from the text. Then we're gonna need the three main functions, which roughly correspond to the three main sections of the program. We're first gonna need to have a function which will get the input file, which will get a valid input file, valid meaning a file that exists, can be opened, and also one that have at least one alphanumeric character from which, let's say, we can form a word. Then we're gonna need a function which will construct the linked list, yeah, so which will read character by character, form words, and then compare words to see if they are repeated, and if so, increase the number of repetitions for that word, and finally store that word and its number of repetitions as a node in our linked list. And then I'd say the most important function is the function which will print the words with their number of repetitions in a table constructed at runtime. These main functions will also make use of some helper functions. First, we're gonna need a function to check if our widest word plus the table structure fits in the requested width. If not, we're gonna ask the user to enter a new width, at least enough to accommodate the widest word plus the table structure. Then we're gonna need a function to get the printable blocks, so we'll need a function which will go through all the nodes from our linked list, see how many words, of course plus the table structure, fits in the requested width, and return a pointer to the last word which can be printed. We're also gonna need a function to calculate how many characters does the repetition count occupies when printed. Yes, so we have, for example, here 2 characters, then 1 character, and because this table is constructed at runtime, we need to be very exact, so we need to know permanently for every row how many characters the table structure, so to say, occupies. We're also gonna need a bigger function to calculate the entire width occupied by this title. They are separated because this will be used separated in a few occasions. Then we're gonna need function which will print this title, this description, so which will print times x the number of repetitions, and another function which will print the given char selected to represent if the word was repeated that number of times or not. So I'm using an asterisk to represent that that the word was repeated that number of times, and a space to signal that the word wasn't repeated that number of times. Yeah, this function gets a character which will be used as the identifier, and an integer to represent the width of the space in which that identifier must be printed. So I'm gonna need that identifier to be sort of like in the middle of the space. Of course, because our linked list is allocated in heap, I'm gonna use a function which will deallocate, which will free the nodes. And just for fun this time, I'm gonna use two functions based on time. One function, superfluous delay, I named it, which will just print this. Yeah. So this can take anywhere between 0 to 4 seconds to get from this to this. I don't know, just to create more tension. I sort of like it, so I use it. And another function, again, just create more tension, blast off, again based on time. This will just count from 3, 2, 1, 0. From every decrease in numbers, there's gonna be a second that passed. As I've said, just for fun, just to create some tension. So this is just a small overview of a pretty complex program. As always, the sources will be posted in the video description if you want to check them out. For any input or any questions, please use the comment section. And I'll call this a wrap. Take care, guys. See you next time.